Hello, hi, good evening everyone. Are you excited for the last sessions before we let our head of ICAEW, Shinola, to close the whole session for today? And at least finally we got some tax topic. Yeah. Otherwise, it's all about audit, accounting, AI, no tax topic. So finally we got tax topic today. But actually, do you know why we have limited tax topic? There are two reasons. Number one, there are not many ICAEW members are doing tax now.
Yeah.
But both of us, we are ICAEW members, basically. We are ICAEW members. So we are definitely promoting about ICAEW here. So you have to encourage your students. Once they pass their ICAEW exams, right, ask them to choose tax as a career. Don't always go for audit only, can
Yeah.
But it's up to them to choose. But you have to do your part to promote about tax also, correct? Cannot be always promote about audit sahaja. True.
Yep.
Secondly, why we are not having a lot of topics on tax, right, is because actually this month is actually our peak period now. Anyone, do you know? If you all are learning about tax before, right, you know that we have 7+1. 7+1 is our deadline for filing of the corporate tax return. And a lot of December year end is our client. Our client, a lot are December year end. December year end maksudnya 7+1 maksudnya July, August, they are the filing tax return peak period. So it's usually our peak period. So to be honest, why just now lunchtime you never see me, and then suddenly I pop up here, right? It's because I really have a lot of work, It's like, oh my God, I was like swamped with all the work, but I still want to come here. It's because to me, education is important.
Yes.
To me, train the trainers are important. Because you all are the important people for our graduates. You all are the important people. To be honest, in Chinese, we have a word called human engineer. So to some extent, you are the one that engineer the graduates. You are the one that actually produce the graduates. So to me, I find this event extremely meaningful, and that is the reason why I told ICAEW, Shinola, I told Masni, they all that we have to come here. We have to come here. And every time when I come here, right, I talk about corporate tax, I talk about withholding tax, I talk about transfer pricing. But today, they all ask me to talk about SST. Walao. Then SST actually, to be honest, is quite technical and quite difficult. Anyone, last time when you learn about tax, learn about SST or indirect tax, you all like it or not like it? Macam try to avoid.
Maybe under 1.0 1.0 SST.
If the exam got this question, you always try to skip boleh can skip then skip can go and do other calculation tax return filing try to do all these questions first So to be honest, SST is a very difficult topic. It's a very difficult topic. But today I have a privilege that I invite Shaun to come along with me. So I'm a tax partner in BDO Malaysia. I'm an ICAEW member. And together with me is Shaun. Shaun is also working in BDO now.
Yep.
So he is also an associate director. So to some extent, it's like a senior manager due for director in BDO. And he is actually quite experienced in SST. And he is an ICAEW member.
Yep.
So today, I brought him along with me so that if I don't know how to explain, I got him So
Okay, thanks. No problems.
You know what to do,
Okay, yeah,
you have
no
to
problems.
support me.
Sure.
Okay, I will try my best to use a very simple way to explain to you what is SST. Yeah, I will use a very simple way because I don't like to go into a very detailed way that bog you down and probably make you feel like you don't know what you learn. You don't know what am I talking about. Might as well no need to come, right? So I will use my very, very layman way and simple way to explain to you. So first of all, I want to start with what the topic here today called what is new, SST. And if you learn our agenda today, right, we are going to cover overview of SST expansion, sales tax, updates, service tax updates, and what are the key takeaways. Now, ladies and gentlemen, today, when I want to start about this topic, right, I want you to understand what is our agenda today. Our agenda starts with a topic called expansion. Agree or not? Actually, what do you understand about expansion? Before we go into expansion, we have to first of all understand what is SST dulu. Agree? And after that, we understand about SST, we need to understand what is the original arrangement. Then only we talk about expansion. You see, the way how you teach your student is also like that. Please, make sure you teach a bit of a background, then only bring them to the latest development. Baru mereka akan understand. Yeah? So, first of all, what is SST? Sales tax, sales and service tax. Now, in a very common way, people always call it SST. But actually, if you are a tax people, you can never call it SST. It's either sales tax or service tax. You cannot use the word SST one. Where got SST one? You go and see all the invoice. Where got SST 6%? Where got SST 8%? Where got SST 5%? It's either sales tax or service tax. And last time, anyone go through the GST implementation era? Oh, last time I also went through GST implementation era. And there's one thing that I learned from a custom officer back then. Last time we asked, hey, custom, what do you mean by service? What do you mean by service? You know what custom told us? Until today, I still remember. Custom said, as long as it is not a goods, it is a service. Simple enough.
Yep.
And everything under the sun is either goods or service. Walao eh. Then win liao lor, like that.
Yep.
Easy lah, but easy to remember lah. So you must understand why we call it SST expansion, and then we straight away go to sales tax and service tax is because technically you cannot have SST. So that's why we have to explain sales tax and service tax separately to you. Yeah? But we will not go into too much details because if we go into too much detail, we scared you are too boring, too bogged down. So I'm going to use a very simple way and a general way to explain the opening for you all first. Yeah? Now the next things that you need to understand is what is the difference between SST and GST? Anyone still remember we implemented GST? Means we started with SST, then we implement GST, then we abolish GST, we go back to SST. Quite a fun time, right? Actually, Malaysia is actually quite funny also. Can you turn one? Anyone want to guess GST will come back or not? Anyone think will come back? Raise up your hand.
Okay, there's confidence in it. Yep.
Okay, PNC. I actually shouldn't be having a recording. But there is a working group in the Ministry of Finance talking about GST implementation already. But xiao, you know what does it mean by xiao or not? Okay, in Chinese, a lot of people like to say xiao. Xiao means crazy. So it's just called xiao. Correct? Always we call it xiao. So you see, you started with SST, then you want to go GST, then you go back SST, and one day they want to go back GST. But actually, you think about it, a lot of studies and a lot of governments in overseas, right? Shaun, you agree or not? They all support GST one.
Yes, agreed. Yep.
Why? Why they support GST? Anyone feel that you know the answer?
Or have understand the concept of GST, maybe you can give it a try.
You see, GST, right? GST is an input tax and output tax system. If you suffer the GST, but you are not the final consumer, you can claim back. You understand? You remember, GST is all about input tax, output tax. If you suffer the GST as a cost, and you are not the final consumer, you can always claim back. You treat it as an input tax and claim back. Then after that, when you charge, right, you charge output tax. So to some extent, when you charge output tax, you collect from someone. So you can claim back your cost, you collect from someone, technically speaking, it is not your cost, as long as you are not the final consumer. So far you follow? But SST is different. SST, especially sales tax, is one stop only, one stage only. And what is that stage? It's manufacturing stage. It's either a manufacturing stage or we call it upon importation stage. So it's either upon importation or upon you manufacture the goods, you sell, you charge the sales tax. And you stop. As a distributor, when you suffer the cost, which is the sales tax, it's becoming your cost. You can never claim back, and you cannot claim back is one thing, you no need to charge also. So it's only one stage. Am I using the right word, one stage?
Absolutely correct. Yeah, single stage tax system.
Oh, I say I can teach SST also.
Oh.
Siao. Hey, don't like that. Give me some face. Cari makan juga lah. I cari makan juga lah. Okay, so basically, the key difference between GST and SST is that GST is always multi-stage, and SST is always single stage. And multi-stage, right? A lot of countries, right? They promote about this. It's because it is healthy. Because you think about it, whether or not it's SST or GST, right? It's all about consumption tax. You all learned before or not? In Malaysia or in the world, there are always two types of tax. Direct tax and indirect tax. Agree? Direct tax is all about your income tax or corporate income tax, personal income tax. So what today you are here, every year you are filing your personal income tax, right? Then corporate tax, every company also have to file their corporate tax. So that is also important. Now you see that is direct tax. But do you know, actually, indirect tax is really consumption-based. Consumption-based means, even though you are not making profit, you are not making money, you still need to pay as long as you consume. That's why just now some of you, I talked to you, I told you also, even though you are not teaching tax today, you are paying tax. Agree or not? Even though you come here hotel, you think this hotel ICAEW no need to pay tax. Also need to pay consumption tax at all. And what is that tax for? Service tax. So you must understand, consumption tax, right? If you flow through like that, let the final consumer bear the cost. It's better if you use GST. But actually, if you are now using SST, right, there's a lot of inefficiency and a lot of ambiguity as well. Because to some extent, right, you are distributor, but what if you are also doing some packaging? Or what if you are cutting into a smaller size and resell it? When you cut into a smaller size and resell it, are you consider yourself manufacturer required to charge sales tax or not? Don't you think it's a bit confusing, meh? So to some extent, right, sales tax, right, a lot of people find it confusing. And because of that, a lot of countries promote GST. But why Malaysia, we are focusing about SST is because to some extent, there are some political agenda. A lot of people take it as a political attack, put it this way, say that, because of GST, rakyat suffer. But to be honest, actually rakyat suffer also, right, because of SST. Think about it. Because if the distributor suffer the cost, the distributor will also pass on the cost to consumer. Agree or not? Retailers suffer the cost, they will pass on also. Betul? So to be honest, whether it's SST or GST, right, consumers suffer also. But different mindset. You know why? Our government still think a very good principle is that if we implement GST, right, consumer got no say. Consumer got no say. Means consumer will anyhow bear the GST. But if it is SST, consumer can choose not to buy from someone if someone is like charging expensively. You get what I mean? So The government mindset is talking about what if the distributor suffer the cost, but distributor decide that they shouldn't pass on because of competition, because of standard price, and therefore they cannot pass on. So to some extent, right, it means distributor will need to make their choice how they want to set their price. And consumer can choose also, oh, this one got more expensive. I don't want to go for this one. I can go for a cheaper one. So to some extent, that is the mindset of our government now, and they think that SST is so much better. Now, after I say until here, right, some of you who pay attention about what I said just now about there is already a working group talking about GST, right? You will start to think already, hey, based on what Teck say, right, it means GST will come back again. If GST will come back again, then just now Teck say, oh, SST is better, macam it's like slapping your own face. It's very contradicting, isn't it? Anyone want to guess why government still thinking about a possibility to bring back GST? It is still more efficient, to be honest. It is still more efficient. But I think the reason why is because eventually you have to come back to GST one. Because all the countries are already moving towards GST or VAT. It's just a matter of time that you have to come back and introduce the GST or VAT. However, they decided to do it by stage. So they now, what they do? They introduce SST dulu. But after that, they increase the SST rate. Anyone remember last time, I think, beginning of this year, I think, when is it that 6%
actually
increase
last year.
Was it 6% service tax become 8%? When is it?
Absolutely correct. So this happened in March 2024.
So you see our government actually quite smart. They start with increased SST rate from 6% to become 8%. After that, they say they are now going to expand the SST. When they expand the SST, what are they trying to do now? They are going to make the SST become more and more costly, right? What if they now announce something? They say, ladies and gentlemen, rakyat sekalian. In order to make your life better, we decided to reintroduce GST, but maybe we reintroduce GST at 4%. Actually, I tell you, if IRB, if government do like that, right, mindset is very big difference already. You agree or not? It's like, wow, you suffer so much, then suddenly you bring back GST, but with a lower rate, right? The mindset also better, you know.
Yeah.
So to some extent, you must agree that actually our Prime Minister actually is quite smart in terms of PR. Don't challenge, don't question about his PR ability, you know. So to some extent, that is probably the reason why that is a potential opportunity that they want to bring back GST, but we suspect they will bring back GST with a lower rate. I talk so much, I haven't started the first page.
Teck, maybe another point to add for the reintroduction of GST. What do you think that would be a good trigger point or something that is a catalyst to bring back GST? Maybe you all would know, like, you go and buy things, there's some document that you need. I'm just giving hints out now. Okay, e-invoicing. So, okay, you see now e-invoicing is now at the, I think it's the fourth, now it's the third stage just finished. Fourth stage will be early next year. Then even after that will be July. So most likely by end of next year or early 2027, then at least by then everything is normalized, and even with e-invoicing integral into our like tax regime per se, then I would say that's the time where they can confidently bring back GST, because even with the e-invoicing requirements, you know, there are certain fields like input, output, as well. So they're asking GST number. Sorry, now I'm using GST the wrong word. Like tax numbers of SST number of the buyer and seller. So with GST enforced, then they say, okay, the infrastructure is in place, bring back GST.
So when the e-invoice is properly in place,
Yes.
then GST will come back lah. Okay, okay.
Highly
sounds
possible.
Sounds like a good transition. Very smooth. Not bad, not
It
bad.
will be. I wouldn't be surprised.
Anyone know what is e-invoice, right? This is also a new tax thing. Actually, come to think about it, tax actually quite interesting, isn't it? Last time, I always go to those guest lecture. You know, actually, I conduct quite a number of guest lecture. Every time I go and talk to students, I like to say something. There are two things that you cannot avoid in your life. Death and taxes. Okay, I also have another quote. There are two oldest industry in the world. What are the two oldest industry in the world? One is tax, of course. Another is prostitutions. These two are the oldest industry in the world. So you can see tax come so far away, come a long way. So you have to promote about tax. Yeah? Tax is a very interesting career nowadays. Yeah? Okay. Without further ado, let me go into the first topic. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you understand two things here. If you look at the expansion, right? There are two things that I want to highlight only. Number one, revising the sales tax rate on non-essential goods. Number two, expanding the service tax scope. Now, you must understand when I say SST expansion, right? The keywords are referring to these two bullet points. If you can understand these two bullet points, you can understand the rest of my slides. Very easy on it, yeah? Number one, like I said, revising the sales tax rate on non-essential goods. You see, when government implement SST that time, right? They promise something. They promise that even though they are going to bring back SST, they are going to charge 0% for essential goods. They are going to charge 0% for essential goods. So their concept is very similar with GST. GST back then, anyone still remember zero rated, standard rated, and exempt supply? Wow, back then, really interesting. Then we abolish. Actually, we make a lot of money, you know. I mean, career-wise, we become a consultant, you know. Then we go to Felda, we go to all these big corporation, we go and sell. Hey, you have to implement GST, you know. So we go and charge them millions of fees. Then after that, they implemented successfully already. Okay, thank you very much. It's a pleasure working with you. Then after 1 year, abolish. Luckily, we are not running business, right? If you're running business, you are thinking like, what the? Isn't it? So back then, GST is also zero rated for a lot of goods. Similarly, SST, when they bring back SST, right, they say they are not going to charge any percentage on essential goods. But back then, when they bring back SST, right, they realize a lot of items are being treated as zero rated. And they decided that, they need to revisit again, what are the items are being treated as zero rated, and some are not supposed to be zero rated. So they decided to classify all the items which were previously zero rated into two. One is called essential goods, one is called non-essential goods. And for the essential goods, they are still going to have zero rated, but for the non-essential goods, they are going to revise it. So obviously, when they revise it, they are not going to put 0% anymore. And the new rates that they are charging is 5% or 10%. I repeat, 5% or 10%. So that is the first thing when we talk about SST expansion. The second thing that we want to talk about is expansion in terms of service tax scope. Now, you pay attention here. They say service tax scope to include business-to-business commercial transaction, such as those operating on a fee-based model. Now, this one you all have to be a bit more careful already. The reason is because service tax, right? If everything also charge service tax, right? Do you feel that it is like snowballing? Actually, a lot of business, right, in one supply chain, right, actually involve many providers. Agree or not? And when it involves many providers, every provider actually charge 6%, 8% service tax, right? It will become a lot. But currently, a lot of service tax are not taxable. They treat it as not taxable service. But IRB also, sorry, not IRB, Custom also review again, and they think that it's not correct to treat it as not taxable. They decided to expand it, change the treatment from non-taxable to become taxable. And one of the biggest service that they changed is called construction. I want to tell you, construction is a very important business in our Malaysia. Why? Everyone want to guess why? Because construction is a big project. Agree? Secondly, every time when we talk about GDP, improve or not improve, our government, country performance good or not good, right? We always pay attention to construction performance. You agree or not? If you have a lot construction project going on, it means we have a lot of investments. When you have a lot of investment, government pour in the money, spur the sectors, and a lot of other sectors will be benefited. So that's why construction is always a very important service and business in Malaysia. Shaun, back then construction, is it zero rated or not?
Yeah, it's not part of the prescribed taxable list. It's only until this year.
So when they come out a list,
July, yeah.
they come out a list called list of taxable service, and construction is not one of the prescribed list of taxable service.
Correct.
But they decided to change it now.
Yes, yeah, I think we can, once we go to the slides, there's actually a schedule, actually, we will show what actually came in this year, which is quite radical.
Normally, I don't show already later.
Yeah, okay.
Normally, I will just click.
And yeah, maybe, yeah.
So I just want to tell them some important message only. Construction service is now taxable. Now, when construction service become taxable, what is the impact that you can imagine now? Next time your son and your daughter buy house also become more expensive. You agree or not? Unless all the construction players say, okay lah, I tapa lah, I absorb lah, absorb the cost. Wait, why you all not so confident with constructions? Housing price will only go up only, is it? Can never go down one, right? Itulah Malaysia lah. But you go anywhere, it's the same one lah. You go anywhere, it's the same. Now, I want to ask you something. Because of that, right? Some things that, why can't we force the constructions company to bear the service tax? But do you know, actually construction players, their profit margin is also very slim only. Maybe you don't know, but because I do transfer pricing, I do a lot of things called benchmarking. Benchmarking means we normally go and identify a population of companies doing in one single business, and then we go and screen their financial statement. We go and extract their margin, produce a range. We use a statistical method to produce a range, and we see what is the so-called industry range or industry average. That is the work that we do in transfer pricing. Based on my industry analysis, construction players, it depends on whether are they doing residential, commercial, or doing infrastructure, or mix sometimes. If they are doing residential, again, it depends whether they are doing affordable or luxury. You understand? Commercial, of course, better one, their margin. So, what am I trying to tell you is, those construction players who are producing or constructing affordable housing, right? Their margin actually is not very good one. Their margin, just to share, usually 3%. Usually 3%. So if they have 100 million of costs, right, their profit is only 3%. And I ask you, Shaun, what is the service tax rate nowadays? 6 or 8%.
Okay, for construction it's 6%. Lah.
Then for other service,
Others mostly 8. So there's actually a number of, generally it'll be 8, but there are a few that are 6. So
can you imagine,
yeah.
if the service tax rate is 6%, their construction margin is only 3%. Habis lah. The more you construct, the more losses you are going to make. Nobody will do this business lah. Huh? Actually got people do this business. Do you know what business? Chicken. That's another very interesting story about chicken.
Okay.
Do you know in this Malaysia, chicken is a control item. The price is controlled. Price control. We call it controlled price item. Is it called price control item or control price item? Chin cai lah.
Yeah, interchangeable.
But do you know, actually their cost, right, sometimes can be even more than the selling price. Do you know? Why? Anyone want to try to answer? Why chicken farming company or those chicken farmer, we call it chicken farmer lah. Don't ask me why call farmer, but they call it chicken farmer. Do you know some chicken farmer making loss for every 1 kg of chicken that they are selling? They raise the chicken, become 1 kg, then they sell. But every 1 kg chicken that they raise, they make losses. Why? It's because their cost of raising 1 kg chicken is even higher than the selling price. Why? Because their selling price is a controlled price. They can never sell expensively. It's a market or government regulated price. But can they control the cost or not?
No.
Can. Ask the chicken to eat lesser lah. Can or not? Can or not? Because the chicken feed is getting more and more expensive because of what? Because of global supply chain problem. Do you know Ukraine is the biggest producer of soybean meal producer? And soybean meal is actually the raw material for chicken feed. And because of the Ukraine and Russia war, the global supply disruption, and because of that, the demand high, supply low, price go up. They still have to buy chicken feed to feed their chicken. Can they cut down their diet or not? Like, hey, you eat lesser. Can or not? Cannot, you know. So the more kg of chicken that they are producing, they are making losses. Where got people want to do chicken business anymore? But nasib lah ini. That's why I can tell you a lot of chicken farmer are quite kesian one. A lot of chicken farmer are quite kesian. Actually quite fun, right? If you do tax, you see you can understand so many business. You can understand so many impact. So you should promote students to learn and do tax. Okay, to be honest, I'm not asking them to join BDO lah, to be honest. Because even though all of you ask them to join BDO, we also cannot take in so many lah. But we are trying to do a responsibility to, share knowledge, share awareness, so that your students can learn more about tax career. Learn all these things more interesting, ma. Go and do audit. Where got interesting?
Oops.
Okay. Go back to this. So because of that, right, service tax, when they are being expanded, right, actually it's quite crazy, Especially you go and expanded the scope for construction. Actually, it's become very crazy. But government decided that, janganlah risau. They decided to exempt what?
Residential and those amenities ancillary to the residential. But unfortunately, mixed development is not part of the exemption. So that's the challenge.
Meaning to say, they introduced this one first. But then after that, they also say exemption. Don't worry. Construction service in relation to residential building is 0 rated. Actually, quite smart also, government. Like introduce you something, scared you a bit, then after that, janganlah risau, saya exempt you. That is a PR job, right? Hey. Okay, so basically, SST compliance talk about when you have expansion. They say effective date is 1st July 2025. They say existing registrants, they need to submit their update what are the new service that they are going to start charging the service tax, what are the new sales tax that they are going to start charging starting from 1st July. New registrants means those people who previously not registered because their items are not taxable, they will become taxable, then they have to start register themselves between 1st to 31st August. Voluntary registration is also something very interesting. You see, if you are required to register, you will go and register, no choice, because if you don't do it, it is an offense. You agree or not? Do you agree that they got people who will voluntarily go and register or not? Actually, why? A bit xiao also, right? Why go and voluntarily go and register yourself? You are exempted or you are below threshold, 1 million. Let's say 1 million is a threshold, you are below 1 million. You are exempted. Why you go and register yourself? Actually, come to think about it, why? It's because there is something called B2B exemption. You see, service tax that I told you just now, right? Service tax that I told you just now is that this person will charge this person a service tax. But service tax got one very interesting exemption called B2B exemption. It means if that service provider suffer the service, but actually they are producing another service to another person, they can then go and tell the service provider, their supplier, no need to charge me service tax because I am not the final consumer per se. So they will say, hey, janganlah charge me service tax. I can have B2B exemption because I am not the final stage. So because I'm not the final stage, I have a B2B exemption, then you can convince the service provider no need to charge you service tax. But in order to convince the service provider not to charge you service tax, you need to register service tax to Lu. Something like that lah. So because of that, voluntary registration is possible. Sure, got people want to register, especially just now I told you about construction. If you don't want to suffer the cost, you want to also pass on, right? So you have to actually register. Otherwise, it will become your cost.
Yep.
So this is a timeline. I'm not going through. You can read yourself. Okay, service tax. I'm going to pick up few things only. Number one is this manufacturer. I want to tell you, next time when you go and tell your students, right, tell them manufacturer is a very buzzword. It's a very buzzword. Actually, come to think about it, what do you mean by manufacture? You produce like that, become manufacturer already. Say, for example, burger. Is burger seller considered manufacturer? Anyone want to guess? Burger seller, is it considered manufacturer? You say no, right? Shaun, what do you think?
Actually, it is a manufacturing activity because you see, it is like you converting your daging kisar into a burger patty, and even from burger patty into a completed burger. So in fact, that is also a concept of, or meets the definition of manufacturing because there's a process of conversion lah.
So you don't use your general mindset to learn about SST, you know. Whenever you learn about SST, right, you must remember manufacture, this word, right, is very buzzword. So you have to be a bit more careful.
Yeah, so this is the definition of,
Yeah, this is
Yeah, that's the definition. See, the changing size,
changing the size, shape, composition, nature, and quality, it will trigger you to become manufacturer. Now, this is a sales tax rate. Now, like I said, a lot of sales tax is 0%, but recently, I think you learned from the newspaper, some people talk about, make fun about avocado. Anyone still remember or not? Avocado become sales tax taxable. And someone also make fun about salmon. Anyone like to eat salmon? Okay, you don't eat, but you have to give your kids to eat salmon fish also. Because salmon fish is full of nutrients. So it's good for your kids. But now, government say salmon fish become 5% off. So don't mind. need to pay tax already. So last time, all the king crab, you know, no need to pay tax. Salmon, avocado, no need to pay tax. Even bicycle also no need to pay tax last time. But going forward, it become 5%.
Or maybe anyone like watches or collect watches? So if anyone who collect jam tangan, actually it's now 10% lah. So actually there were prices. So I just share my recent experience is that I bought a watch early July. They said that, okay, make sure you buy before 15 July because after 15 July there's a price revision lah. So I checked this. This is also partly due to the sales tax lah.
So buy a watch also nowadays need to think twice already. Inilah sales tax lah. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, so basically exempted last time is exempted, now become 5%. So this is a transitional provision. I'm not going through. You can understand yourself. Service tax. Similarly, service tax last time there are 10 service group. Now they got the expansion. Anyone likes karaoke? Everyone like karaoke or not? Now karaoke, you need to pay service tax already. Sir, do you like karaoke or not? Okay, so you need to make sure you pay service tax. Anyone repair and maintenance? Repair and maintenance, last time you don't need to pay service tax. Now also need to pay service tax. Actually, repair and maintenance cover a lot of things, isn't it? Actually, what do you mean by repair and maintenance? Shaun, ask you a very interesting question. Any one of you stay condo here? You stay condo, do you have to pay the so-called maintenance fee? When you pay the maintenance fee, is it subject to service tax?
Okay, generally maintenance fee, yes, but because it's relating to residential, then it's no lah. So that's the exception to that.
So repair and maintenance, if it is related to residential, then got exemption.
So take note, your GMB shouldn't be charging you service tax. If it is, then you better make a report lah.
Yeah. If
It's
your
not cheap, man,
management
GMB
office chin chai charge you also got problem one. So make sure they don't chin chai charge you. Brokerage and underwriting and logistics service. So these are all subject to SST as well. So these are the few category that IRB introduced, custom introduced. Wellness center. Anyone like to do massage? Anyone got deposit with Healthland? Recently Healthland bankrupt already. So these are the new prescribed taxable service. So you can see the yellow color. I'm not going through the details also. But one of the very interesting is construction, rental, as well as education. Education, anyone go to government school? Any service tax if it is a government school?
Government school, no.
If it is private school?
Yes.
How much?
It's basically as long as the fee is not more than 60K. Below 60K, don't have 60K above ada.
Ada berapa?
It's
6% or 8%?
6%.
Oh. Anyone like to send your kids to international school?
Private school also actually.
Or
Chintek.
private school also?
Yeah.
Means go Sunway College also kena lah.
No, this is now only secondary level. Primary
Oh.
to secondary.
Well, luckily I got him.
No, that one is college is already tertiary, so it's only on non-rakyats, non-citizens.
Rental kena service tax. All the rentals or what?
Except residential.
Except residential.
And then there are a few items that are not their books, and also there are a few, and then those that are financial lease, as well as those rental in regards to assets located outside Malaysia.
Okay, so similarly, all these are the so-called the law and regulation as well as the guideline. I'm not going through. Construction, basically, I'm not going through. All this, I'm not going through.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the key takeaways?
Yeah.
So number one, I think if you want to teach your students about something, right, you need to start by teaching the way how I teach you this morning. I mean, the beginning of this session just now. After that, you have to go into some key takeaways. Number one, they have to identify whether are they required to implement register or not. If they are required to implement and register, means timing for registration become a very important considerations. Number two, do they have any transitional rules or not? Transitional rules means if there are already some contracts that are already a fixed price contracts that they can never change the price, then with that, right, they are not supposed to implement. Government got give some transitional provision. And that transitional provision refers to reviewable or non-reviewable contract. So that is something that we can offer to our service, our clients also. Number three, any relief or any exemption. For example, B2B exemption, group relief, and any other exemption. For example, you use the so-called licensing warehouse. Is it called what? Licensed Manufacturing Warehousing.
Yes, yeah,
LMW. Anyone learn before? Then after that, overlapping definitions. Whether or not do you consider yourself construction or do you consider manufacturer? Wellness versus healthcare is also a very, very subjective, judgmental kind of definition. Then when you want to implement something, you need to make sure you have system implementation in place. So account for SST, identify exemption or non-exemption transaction. And last but not least, you need to make sure you have internal control properly in place. Now, I have done my session. I just want to wrap up very easily for every one of you. Ladies and gentlemen, SST is a very interesting topic. I hope I give you a very interesting opening just now. And I hope you have learned something from me today. Thank you.
Okay.